Let's look at how to cite online sources following the rules in the Chicago Manual of Style. Now, citing online sources can be a challenge. To locate information about online sources, you may have to do some digging around. When citing online sources, the title of an entire website is written in Roman font, so no italics. By contrast, the title of a specific web page is placed between quotation marks. There are two exceptions to these rules. First, blog titles are in italics. So in our example, we would use italics for the name of the blog, though not for the title of a specific blog post. Secondly, if a website title is in a category that's normally italicized, for example, a book, then do italicize it, for example, the Chicago Manual of Style online. Next, when citing an entire website, you should include the title along with a URL. You may also add a date along with a description such as last modified on, updated on, or accessed on. Note that you don't necessarily have to include websites in your final bibliography. Citing them in your footnotes is sufficient. The exception is a formally published source that's located online, for example, an online book or article. When it comes to citing a specific web page, follow the same rules as for websites, but add the title of the page as well as the author's name, if there is one. If you have accessed an academic article online, let's say through a database, it's a good idea to provide a URL or DOI. For more information, please consult our lesson on citing periodicals. Next, when citing an electronic book, try to mention the reading device, for example, Kindle, the format, for example, EPUB, or the DOI or URL. For more information, please visit our lesson on citing books. Alright, let's turn to citing a blog post. Note that you may add the word blog in parentheses, but this is only recommended if it's not obvious from the title that we're dealing with a blog. Sometimes blogs are associated with larger organizations or publications. In such cases, you may need to give a bit more information. On the other hand, if you want to cite an entire blog rather than the individual post, your entry can be shorter. List the creator as editor or author, and then follow the same format as with a website. Finally, most blogs can be cited in the notes and don't require a separate bibliography entry. The same is true for comments on blogs and websites. In fact, you can get away with just citing them in the text of your essay. However, at some point, you will likely want to provide a fuller entry for the original blog or web page. Now, if you do want to mention a comment in a footnote, you have a couple of options. First, if you already cited the original post in a previous footnote, you can significantly shorten the citation of the comment. On the other hand, if you are citing just a comment, you may want to provide additional information. Here you can see two examples. The first is much more detailed. It references the original blog post. The second example shows a reply to the first comment. As a result, the citation is shorter. The second example also shows that if the commenter's name is a pseudonym, for example, Bigfoot, and you know the person's real name, you can add it in square brackets. Let's look at how you might cite an online video. You can provide plenty of information about an online video, but we will limit ourselves to a fairly simple example, a YouTube video. Note that we included the duration of the video. If you want to cite a podcast, here's how you can do that. In this note, we have included the company that produced the podcast, but that information is frequently missing. Next, when citing a video game or app, it is customary to include the version number and the operating system it can run on. Apps typically don't require bibliography entries, but if needed, cite under the name of the publisher or developer. Let's turn to social media posts, Facebook, X, Instagram, etc. These can often be cited just in the text of your essay. If you do want to cite social media in a footnote or bibliography, here is one way. Note that any content from Twitter prior to its rebrand as X in 2023 may be cited as Twitter, though you can add an explanatory note, as we've done here. For the title of a social media post, use the actual text up to 280 characters, including spaces and retaining emojis. To describe the post, list the social media platform, for example, Facebook or Instagram. You may also clarify the format, for example, Instagram photo. As with comments on blogs and web pages, social media comments don't require detailed citation. You can provide just a minimal citation in the text of your essay. Now, sometimes you may instead want to provide a more detailed footnote. If you have cited the original social media post already, then keep your citation short. For the title of the comment, use the actual text of the comment up to 280 characters, including spaces and retaining emojis. And in the rare instance when you have not previously cited the original post, you can flesh out some of the details of your citation. And that's it for citing online sources.